So, a month or two ago, I found this thing called the Elektron Analog Heat. Very interesting device because it's a fully programmable analog filter unit, low pass, band pass, high pass filter, plus 8 different analog distortions that are also programmable, stereo, MIDI controllable. So, sounds really interesting for a kind of guitar player who likes to play electronic music. The only thing is that I could literally find nothing about guitar players using the analog heat. So I got the analog heat, dumped $1,000 on it, but when I hooked it up, it just all sounded wrong. And I realized that makes kind of sense because all of the settings are made for primarily producers. So not really geared towards guitar out of the box. But first of all, this is not a full review of the unit. There's a gazillion reviews that will tell you exactly what it all does. I'm just gonna concentrate on how to incorporate it into your kit as a guitar player and also how to use it. There's basically 3 things that determine whether this works for guitar players or not. The first is the voicing of the settings. Guitar has a very different kind of frequency range than most synthesizers, so what you filter and what frequency you filter on and how it interacts with your dynamics has a huge influence on how well the filter works. The other thing is modulation. Modulation normally happens over MIDI or a few controllers, but you also have 2 expression pedal inputs, and that makes it controllable without MIDI. You can just hook up an expression pedal like this thing here, and you can just change the frequency. What it does is it allows you to find a sweet spot as you play. The third thing that really makes a big difference on how this works is where it actually sits in the chain of pedals. So I also want to quickly discuss how these different configurations make a difference in how the filter works and how the filter sounds. First of all, let's just talk about the voicing. The 3 most usable filters in the analog heat are a low pass filter, high pass filter and band pass. So let me just play a few riffs, the same riff through 3 types of filters. So first of all, let's do a low pass. Now, as you can hear, it leaves a low intact, but it opens the filter towards a high frequency. Band pass filters work in a different way. It actually creates a very restricted amount of frequency and moves the frequency around, similar to a wah-wah pedal. Now, high pass filter filters all the low end out and leaves the high frequency. So if you there's two ways I modulate the sound. First of all, by playing with pedals. But the other thing I'm doing, if I don't move the filter, you can hear that the picking dynamics, how hard I pick, also changes the frequency of the filter. It's called an envelope follower. So basically you link the envelope to the input sensitivity. So if you play softly, and then combined with the two, it creates a nice kind of really dynamic kind of movement in the filter. Third way to modulate the filter is called a low frequency oscillator, an LFO. And basically what it does is, instead of using your foot to move the things around, you can actually use an oscillator to move the filter without actually using the pedal. So here's an example of that. So here's the LFO that slowly modulates the filter. also still influence the filter with the pedal. So I can first find a sweet spot, and then another example of a LFO is for instance this patch here. Here, like the LFO creating these spikes in the frequency of the filter, but I can still again control it with my pedal. So you can add an octave to make it a bit more synthesizer-like. Nice touch is also to have a distortion after the filter. Another way to use to modulate your filter is an envelope. We talked about this earlier when it's creates a really quick spike when you play your notes harder, but you could also make the envelope go really slow, like this. With this patch, the pick attack makes the filter open, but I also have a slow LFO moving it around, so you get this kind of nice kind of movement. Kind of nice to put a distortion after the pad, actually, just a tiny bit. So that was modulation. Now let's talk about the order of the effects. So as I just mentioned, sometimes it's actually nice to have distortion after your reverb for this wash kind of sound. It goes against what people normally do, but rules are there to be broken. If I just take a very simple low pass filter, let's hear the difference between having a distortion before or after your filter. It becomes quite obvious when you play bass lines, for instance. Before, after, let's talk about echo or reverb before or after. Similar effect. Before, after, so both are very useful, I think, in terms of the musical ideas you develop. There's a few other alternative effects. The octave is always lovely. Gonna add a bit of distortion after the filter. This is a bit crusher on the Line 6 Helix. It's really nice with the tremolo if you can create these kind of synthesizer-like kind of vibrato. And last but not least, love using slices. So a slicer basically turns your volume on and off, like this. And then with the pedal you can also influence how long it goes for. Or add a bit of bass octave to it. So yeah, lovely synthy kind of tones you can create with that. So this is just a few starting points for using the analog heat. So in conclusion, yes, initially you need to put a bit of work in, but once you've adjusted your patches to suit the frequency of the guitar and use lots of modulation, because modulation really brings it to life, then this is a wonderful, wonderful unit. If you want to either share the patches, I'm happy to do so. Ask any questions. Hopefully this is useful for you guitar players out there. Stay safe.